Hello, everyone. Welcome to another DevStream interview. They're coming along like buses. We've got this time around, we've got the wonderful Malte, who is our senior 3D artist, who's taking some time out from his day to join us for a chat about all things his job and ROCKFISH games as well. So welcome, Malte. Thank you very much for joining us. Hope you're well. Good to see you.
Hi, mate. How are you doing?
Not bad at all. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day. Obviously, we are knee deep into development, but
Stuff.
yeah, stuff exactly. But we always like to do these interviews just to find out a little bit about other people that are creating these wonderful games that we've produced, and you are one of them with your talents of being a 3D artist. So, without further ado, I'd like to ask you the kickoff question, which is, what is your role at ROCKFISH Games, and what does that entail?
So I mostly look pretty. Well, I mean, I started in 2014, and
Okay.
we were lots of, we were not a lot of people back then. So essentially, from then to here, my role has changed. Back then, in the art kind of production, we literally were just Matthias, Marco, and me, and then Uwe, and everybody, who would chip in into kind of the whole 3D pipeline, if you will. And back then I was creating lots of spaceships, and I also actually technically built lots of toys. I actually kind of, I don't want to say I built the world of EVERSPACE 1, but like did a lot of that, and then kind of furthering on as we got bigger, my role kind of changed a little bit more into somebody who is what's called leads of asset. It's you kind of overlook the pipeline, and as you go through maybe different engines, the pipeline changes. You might want to adapt a different way of modeling. So like the difference between ES1, the way we built our stuff is very different than how it was to ES2 and future projects. So yeah, I would say that I'm somebody who looks over the typical art pipeline for us, and I do onboarding as well with artists. So if we have a new talent coming in, I teach them the strange way of ROCKFISH, and they all go, "What?" And then I say, "Yeah," and then they stay. Yeah, I guess these type of things, I would say. So my job title actually right now, even though I'm not a big fan of these job title things, is lead of asset. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah. I mean, it just shows, I think, that obviously you've progressed from a different role with EVERSPACE 1 to EVERSPACE 2 because of the needs of the studio, etc. As you said, working with like points of interest within EVERSPACE 1, and then you kind of now developed or moved across to lead of assets. How did you actually get into the gaming industry? Everybody has their own pathway, and I think yours is a little bit more unique than maybe most is.
Maybe. I mean, generally speaking, I would say getting into the industry itself is the biggest hurdle. In a way, you can have all the talents in all the right places, and still, it can be tough, especially if you look at the current situation post-corona in the industry. What is happening? What still is happening? Yeah, but for me, what I did, I was I come from a very small village in North Germany, and there's nothing there.
Okay.
And for some odd reason, I got invited at a very young age, probably way too young, to party and LAN party, and essentially we would have lots of games there, and there was one game which is Far Cry 1.
Yeah.
Which I still love, because, and I'm not entirely sure, but the build was shipped with basically the engine, included. I think that's actually how they shipped it on CDs as well.
Oh yes, yeah. Crytek
Which,
engine.
by the way, they still have the best engine name, in my opinion, since Epic, because it's literally called Sandbox. Which in German, the Sandbox, it is something like you play in, at least in my mind. I don't know if that was
yeah.
kind of thing. But, so it's super fun. And I started basically doing the whole, without really acknowledging it, I started the whole pipeline of, I didn't have internet, right? So you literally start the sandbox and like, what is this button doing? And then you kind of get through it, you understand how it all works, and then you just build crazy cool maps. You build maps, that are for racing. You build
Yeah.
maps that you want to replay with your
Mhm.
mates on the next LAN.
Yeah.
And I would do like cheeky shit, like I would say like, okay, so if you place this grass block down, like the level of detail changes in a certain way, so I can put myself with a sniper behind that grass block,
Yeah.
see everybody, but if they look at me, they don't see shit. So I snipe my mates with the map that I built myself, sitting there thinking, this is fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's the sort of, and then Counter-Strike maps I built.
Oh,
You would go onto all of these internet sites, FPS
Yeah.
Banana, shit like that.
Yeah, yeah. I remember the first Far Cry as well, because it was always been, and I think it's always even probably since then, it was in terms of PC building, could it run Far Cry, because it was such a strong game to run. So it was always a real good test against your PC's ability and strength, as whether it could actually run the game.
Along.
Yeah, and then Crysis,
hold my beer.
Can it run Crysis?
Holy shit.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously you did a lot of kind of in your own time, in terms of like LAN parties and your mapping on your own computer. Did you go to college or university to study, and if so, what subject? But again, I think it's fairly unique.
Going through it in my mind is kind of funny, but, well, it's not funny. It's actually quite because while I was in school, I was already knee deep into things. And here's a controversial topic for you. I don't even know if I want to go there, but we can cut it out if you don't want to do it. And like, if you're somebody who is an artist, art is copying. Like literally, you would go on a mountain, you look down on the beautiful vista of Italy and say, I'm gonna copy that onto my piece of paper.
Yeah.
That for me, that is art. And so if you're a young person and you're going to school, you're going through places, you look at all of the things and you feel like, okay, I think I want to replicate that. I want to copy that, because put your skills, put your effort into the technique that you want to do. And I did these type of things with Counter-Strike for my school.
Yeah.
That's not, you have to, these type of things when you're young and you're trying to learn these type of things. So but to answer your question, I went to other colleges afterwards that basically taught. They said they wanted to. I paid a lot of money privately for 2 schools, and to be honest with you, they were not very good. I didn't really learn much from them. I had a few tutors and people that worked for. I had one that worked for Crytek, and he basically pushed me out of the school and said, "Just do your thing. They don't know what they're saying. I'm sure they've come better, but so I'm not really keen on saying that I've learned lots from schools, a lot of self-taught shit, the internet."
Yeah, I think that's a lot of, with any kind of job, whatever it is, you do learn a lot on the job. So obviously you, prior to working in the industry, doing your self-taught, learning about mapping and replication is a thing. You get inspiration and you learn the technique on how to do it. So, I don't think it's a bad thing. Obviously people say that one of our ships from EVERSPACE 2 has a striking resemblance to a certain ship from Star Wars.
Sure.
Do
Star Wars? Do they also do like spaceships, and do they do like sci-fi?
I'm not sure, to be fair. Yeah, it's
okay.
I don't even know if they're in space. To be fair,
art.
Yeah, exactly. So diving a little bit deeper into the whole art team kind of thing. Can you talk us through that, like the design process of like a concept is then created and added to the game? How does it all kind of evolve? What is the process?
So, first of all, I would say like it really depends on kind of the situation and the project, and like even for the projects that we are working on, like where are you in the production? It's very different, and it also varies a lot. It has varied for us a lot based on just the technology that we have. Like, if I look back to EVERSPACE 1, generally speaking, it was a lot more artsy in that sense that if you go through kind of the process of, let's say, a ship, you have more of a I almost want to say like a concept heavy approach, because I don't know how much you are into that kind of stuff, but like we would create high polys and low polys, and we would
Yes.
bake that stuff down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of from the current perspective, you might call it old school, even though you can still, that kind of way is still used, and it makes a lot of sense in lots of other games. But
Yeah.
so you kind of go through the whole concept phase. What we generally do is we try to block out stuff relatively quickly, test it in game, because if I look at EVERSPACE, I would always say like one of the core features that needs to be, you know, nailed down, feel good, is just the general movement. Like EVERSPACE is such a 6 degree of freedom kind of fly around, you know, Unreal Tournament kind of shoot game.
Yes, yeah.
It's a shoot game.
Yeah.
That these kind of things need to feel good. And honestly,
Yeah.
even in the blockout state, that's something that can heavily dissuade from how it can feel. Like how big is the ship, how small is the ship, how's the silhouette, how does it move if we have certain ways and stuff like that. So yeah, you do blockouts, you go through concept phases. Ideally, all of this pipeline is done once.
Yes.
But iteration always has to happen in certain things. Vehicle art is different to what structure art might be. Is very different to VFX, to all of these type of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then we switch from ES1 to that kind of approach where we use, I think that's also a question later, but whatever, you use like certain tools to literally draw on these assets. So that's why I mean it's a lot more artsy. And then you switch to, maybe for the next title, for EVERSPACE 2, we switch more to a mid-poly modeling technique, where you essentially use, I think, I don't know if Star Citizen started it, but essentially what you do is you model it in a way where you can use more details on the edges, and they look very good, and it's nothing you have to do with normal maps for these specific issues and stuff like that. So anyway, you know, it's like it's very different on where you are on the studio and on the project, I guess, in the pipeline and what you're doing. So I could probably talk a lot more about it, but I feel like it gets lost in.
No, that's cool. That's cool. I mean, it's nice to know the process and how things have changed. Again, development, you know, obviously is a long process, but then you learn new things, new techniques, and then you use those iterations and new techniques in, you know, future projects, because you learn them, and it's a constant process. Doing this whole kind of process, what software do you actually use then for certain elements within the game? Obviously, our game is based in Unreal Engine, but as an artist, what do you use specifically?
We used to use Autodesk 3ds Max. We had I think we had like an old license for many years because they were quite expensive. And you know, we started out with so little people. We essentially switched to Blender. Oh god, I mean, and now it's already, I don't know, maybe 2 years or something, maybe even longer. Time flies by. And just for the very general 3D pipeline, Substance, again, I think it was even came into the industry after we started EVERSPACE 1, and that was kind of a thing. Substance Painter, Substance Designer, node-based kind of way of creating textures for maybe Atlas textures, where you can do these type of things. And then there are loads and loads of scripts and tools for each software that really help a lot. Even small things, like there's a tool called PureRef. I don't know since when it was released. It's essentially quote unquote just a tool where you put images in, so you can organize all of these type of things. Super helpful. So yeah, there's always a change in software, and I'm sure that even in like half a year there's something new coming out that needs to be looked at, you know.
Yeah, so it's a constant process then of using the tool that you use, but as you said, there's plugins or there's additions that, you know, could be handy for your pipeline and, you know, improvement in your workflows and everything. So
definitely.
Yeah,
Blender is awesome. I really love Blender. Like, it's amazing. It's so cool. Like, coming from Autodesk, and I'm sure that like the latest generations of 3ds Max and stuff are really good at all these type of things, but back in the day, when it comes to things like Boolean, so like, you know, you have like a mesh and you have another mesh, you can essentially use it to put into one another and then cut a hole, but obviously use it in a very difficult operation. That would just crash the software, and like just using that operation, you would start to sweat, and you have a muscle memory of, you know, Control S your project before you do that.
Saving it.
You know it's gonna happen. And then when we switch to Booleans, when we switch to Blender, I had to learn to trust
Yeah,
again, because I was
yeah.
like, this shit just simply works. It just works.
It works.
You know?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah. So is
Anyway.
Blender then the tool that you use predominantly through your day mostly?
Yeah, Unreal and Blender is
Yeah.
definitely the core.
Okay.
Food.
Yeah,
Food
yeah.
is.
Yeah, cool. No, I like that. I like that. Again, it's revealing, you know, the whole process. I know there's a lot of people that will be watching and all these interviews, and it's like, you know, what actually do the devs, you know, use, what their techniques are, and everything. Whilst we can't go into a total deep dive about, you know, Malte does in terms of how he, you know, puts things together.
Some secrets. There's some
Yes,
secrets.
yeah, we got to keep some secrets.
But I have to say, to that extent, because I remember basically, I think it actually was my tutor from Crytek. He
Yeah.
to that iteration, or not iteration, to that statement, he would
Mhm.
probably say that you can talk about what tools to use all
Mhm.
day, or you can say that there's this next tool coming out that is crazy, that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it can just
Mhm.
do all of these things.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, it's something, if you put your heart in, it doesn't really
Mhm.
matter if you use, you know,
Yeah.
if you use Maya, Blender,
Yeah.
you know, all of these things. Like, just create art, just be
Mhm.
confident in what you want to create, just have
Yeah.
fun with it,
Mhm.
and try to be inspired,
Mhm.
and you'll be okay. You know, you
Mhm.
don't have to always try and find the latest inch
Mhm.
of each software or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think over the time that I've been involved in the development studio and everything, and listening to other developers from outside, it kind of echoes what you just said. Is that just create something, you know, whether it's a full game, whether it's a piece of art, music, whatever it is, just create something because you've learned something from that and doing it, and then you refine that process in the future and you get better at it, and you know, and then you build on and on and on. So yeah. Just to echo there what Malte has
What
said.
did Jesse Shell say? Your first 10 games are gonna suck, so get them out of the way quickly.
Exactly.
That's kind of the. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Let's go. Yeah, exactly. So obviously it's very in depth, and you've moved from, you know, doing a lot of 3D work to like lead of assets, and you know, the workflows and the processes and everything that have kind of changed. What would you say is the most challenging aspect of your role now? How would you define, you know, this is the tough part, but you know, it's part of the job?
I probably would say that it's kind of maintaining a good flow of asset production.
Okay.
We are not a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very easy to get lost into detail. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, we need to ship a game, we need to
Yeah.
ship updates,
Mm-hmm.
and making it so in a way where modularity, smart modularity, which
Mm-hmm.
again Blender helps a lot with these days, is just absolutely key to getting done,
Yeah.
or getting to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say, I would say also to keep long meetings short is also one of my things.
Yeah.
And sometimes people tend to talk a lot, and then sometimes people need to be reminded that, okay, let's not, you know,
Mm-hmm.
leave into like the longest discussion ever. But to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, everybody at Rockfish kind of has that in the back of their mind, which is very
Mm-hmm.
great and helpful anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I would say because of the onboarding stuff, I would say that I try to form people into being kind of self-sufficient and problem solving. Everybody who has been with us, you know, and stayed with us,
Mm-hmm.
really understands kind of the Rockfish way, which is like, if you're really keen into learning something, or you're just into something,
Yeah.
and you find a way of implementing that in into the game, that'll not be blocked. You know,
Yeah.
there is a lot of you know, there's a lot of freedom, at least to come to a certain point to say, you know, there's a new feature in Unreal Engine, you can have
Mm-hmm.
and if we and then I've done this in like a few hours, and what do you
Yeah.
think? And then we have a you know, these type of things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if you're new, you might, you know, be like, okay, it's
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
in reality, you know,
Mm-hmm.
you actually have, you know, thoughts that might solve a lot of
Mm-hmm.
other people's problem and stuff
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I guess general motivation of the
Mm-hmm.
team, as we go bigger, and grow bigger.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll be
Mm-hmm.
something that I'll push
Mm-hmm.
even harder. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's always difficult when you're a new person coming into a new job, whatever industry it is, you know, to find your voice and think, hang on, maybe we could do it this way, and to say that to, you know, longer term colleagues is very, very difficult. I totally get that, because but a new perspective, new eyes on a problem or a new subject is always good as well, because, you know, more eyes, you know, can help. So that's obviously the challenging aspect. It's an ongoing process as always. So flipping it around, then, what would you say is the most rewarding part of your role now?
This interview. Right. My most rewarding aspect of my role,
Yeah.
or generally speaking of
probably a bit of both, to be honest with you. I mean, it's
right.
you know, how you've seen it, things have changed, but also how obviously the games have been received, and how the studio has changed as well, I suspect.
Well, I mean, again, it feels like it has been quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, the studio has grown so much; it has
Mm-hmm.
changed a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
the core, you know, idea of ROCKFISH has kind of stayed the same, which is really the reason why
Mm-hmm.
everything works out this well.
Yes.
My most rewarding stuff regarding all of this is that, generally speaking, the whole community thing feels really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like making a game is something that you can really lose yourself in,
Yeah.
and you're just in the trenches.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did EVERSPACE 1, the whole thing about streaming was so new to us. Like, nobody from us was obviously is not a streamer,
Yes.
as
Yeah.
far as I know, and all of these things. So when we kind of released the early access and went through a successful Kickstarter and all of that, seeing people play our game felt so unreal, and it was such an amazing, also almost QA kind of thing, where
Yeah.
I remember we were sitting there, and like 5 or 6 guys look at one screen where somebody is playing EVERSPACE 1, and he's dodging missiles, he's shooting at toys, he's barely, you know, scraping by, and then there's this one asteroid he doesn't see. He slams into the guy, run over, and the whole crew at ROCKFISH is like laughing, you know, their butts off, because it's just really, really cool and fun. So yeah, kind of the aspect of doing something, you know, for people to just play the game has such a I don't know, an amazing. It's just an amazing feeling that you can't really replicate, that I've never thought that I would have. I mean, I've written down lots of other stuff. Going through, I've never asked myself this question in like 13 years or whatever, but like, if you think about it, you realize how many things happened that were crazy. Like, I was a huge fan of WTF, the Total Biscuit, if you remember him. Even though the review of EVERSPACE 1 was not the greatest, I think he was quite frustrated, I think, because these type of things were like a huge honor that people recognized us and talked about it. Also winning the Game Studio Award in what was it, 2024, I think?
2024, yeah.
Was it?
I think so, yeah.
Man. Yeah, that was amazing. That felt like stone fell off our chest. Like, I was very lucky enough to be invited to be flown in, and we were there, and it was announced, and it felt really like a recognition, in the sense that we are really busting our asses off. We're trying to make something awesome, you know, for a good price, and it's just being recognized for that just felt really nice, you know. Yeah. I don't know if that's really the question I can.
No. To be fair, I think you've kind of answered the sum of the whole, if you know what I mean. Your role specifically, you know, is helping the team create, you know, a wonderful project that you get into the hands of the players, and then you get that total enjoyment from seeing people play that game, whether it was, you know, EVERSPACE 1, EVERSPACE 2. I mean, prime example is that's how I knew Michael, because of me playing EVERSPACE 1 as a streamer, and that's and that was the whole thing, you know, because he came along to the stream and he was like, "Hey, look, you know, thanks very much for playing our game and streaming it and that." And I've said this story before, but when I first met Michael in person, I said, look, I hated Everspace 1 to start with because I just didn't have the mindset for a roguelike. I just couldn't play it. But then I kind of got into it and I stuck with it, and it kind of it put me on a path to where I am now. So every journey is different. But no, I think we're all at the team very, very happy when people do get their hands on whatever we produce, and positive or negative, because we've got to take the feedback, whichever way it is.
Yeah, sure.
But,
that's what early access is there for, and
exactly.
That's been working flawlessly for us. I feel like I'm super thankful. I remember being on the forums for Everspace 1 a lot, and it's just like, anyway, oh god.
No, it's a definitely concerted team effort, and we're very thankful that the players out there have generally enjoyed our games. Now we've got some one question that you might not be able to answer, but we'll see. So outside of obviously Everspace 1 and Everspace 2, is there any other games that you've worked on, or is it literally
all the stuff that I have been working on previously was not released, and we were not allowed to talk about it. I don't know what the current situation about that is.
Right. Okay.
And again, before that, literally, I was the thing that I did before was not necessarily game dev oriented. I did work for a architecture studio for a year, and I did like rendering. Left screen you would watch Star Trek, and right screen there would be the V-Ray brackets of glass being rendered for a skyscraper project in Dubai or something, and you're like, well, this is kind of boring, isn't it? Star Trek's great, but like that's how about real time? And I actually talked to my boss back then and said, like, there's like so many features in game engines, and I mean, look at what's happening right now with FN ray tracing, path tracing, holy shit, like Nanite, all of this stuff. Lumen, I've mentioned to you, like, just before we started this, like, I'm a little bit tired because I spent lots of time in Windrose just recently until 2 a.m. And if you look at kind of the art there and like the lighting, it's just so beautiful. There's so many games these days that look so fantastic. Sorry, I'm going on.
No, that's perfectly fine. No, I like it because we I think we need to remember that if we're going to get an interview with Malte, that it's not to the day after he's had a 2 a.m. session playing a game.
Happens quite a lot. We my schedule is a little bit but sometimes 5 hours are great. You wake up and you feel really good, and you know that if you would sleep 2 hours more, you would feel really bad. I make games to play games.
Exactly.
That's what's up.
Exactly. That's it. I like that mantra. I like it. Right, we've got a couple of community questions that have come in from various places, whether it's been Discord, Reddit, other socials, etc. So we'll try and dive through this one, which is from Phantom5753 from Reddit. What are some of the key sources of inspiration for the art style? I know the gameplay is mostly based around close mid-range dogfighting, so are a lot of the ships play at an NPC designed first with similar features to World War II planes or ships of a similar role, or are they designed first with specific capabilities, equipment, and then built around those features? A lot of question to unpack there.
What? I would generally say that for us, I know I keep coming back to Everspace 1, but like I have to compare these two things in my mind always. Like I would say ES1 is a little bit more on the art style, where you would say, and that's actually a great point with World War II planes. At least in my mind, some design choices are definitely inspired by a mix between sci-fi elements that we all know and love, and just real planes. We do have we used to have and still have discussions about would you actually build it this way, the balance between what's real, what's not, the whole I think the whole idea about saying rule of cool, right? Is something that people know. You have to kind of balance that, and I would say for ES1 it would be a little bit more on that line, and for Everspace 2, I think Marco said it once, as I remember it, that kind of related to the general art style, but also which includes the whole modeling technique and all of that stuff. ES2 is a little bit more adult. ES1 is a bit more, it's more of a funny colorful experience,
Yeah.
which will kill you.
Yeah.
And Everspace 2 is a little bit more on the realistic, quote unquote realistic,
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
spectrum.
Mhm.
But yeah, many inspirations from all over the place. You have
Yeah.
obviously the big sci-fi elements
Mhm.
that are out there. You have your amazing games like an Elite Dangerous. You have your crazy technique in Star Citizen, where
Yeah.
one ship has a billion decals.
Mhm.
You get your inspiration from
Yeah.
everywhere. Art is
Mhm.
copying, but it's also respecting the art source of everybody else, and also
Mhm.
trying to find your own way. So
Yeah. Mhm.
that's the answer.
Yeah. I mean, I totally get it. I know some people from the community over the time have questioned, like, oh, something's not very realistic, but you sometimes got to make things fun, and you have to bring that sci-fi element into it a bit stronger than real, what actual happens in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's all in the future. Let's be fair. The game is based 1,000 years in the future, and we don't know kind of what technology is going to be like there. So it's our estimate. But yeah, fun is a good thing that we're aiming for.
Fun is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's the art style? Fun. I think it's a good.
Yeah, exactly. Now, a follow-up question from the same user, Phantom5753. You've kind of already answered it already, because he says, is the shift in art style related to the playship mostly a design decision first to look cooler or similar, or was it intentionally designed with contrast to the antiquated colonial designs in Everspace 1? But
design, I would say. Well, I would say design in terms of, that's why I said it before, like game engine, right? Like
yes, yeah.
Depending on kind of what you're using, your art style might be influenced by it. And if you have a shift from an Unreal 4 into PBR, into physical based rendering, you're changing base materials to look to actually look correct, or to at least not stand out weirdly. Don't have weird stuff like, say, okay, this is a material that has half metal, which doesn't exist in PBR in a way. These type of things. So you could say design/tech would be the one that influenced that mostly.
That's understandable. Yeah. Switching to Kizor's question from our Discord, actually. What was your favorite or most enjoyable location ship thing to design and put it in the hands of the player?
I think what was fun, especially if we were talking about the whole approach to World War II planes being more influenced in Everspace 1, I would say that the ship from Alec was something where I did want to have the idea of, you can see an engine. That's the most unrealistic kind of NPC that we have, in a way, on how the design was approached. Kind of a hot rod thing, where you look at the front of the huge ship and you can see the freaking engine wobbling, and it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. But Alec is a crazy cool guy, and it kind of that helps with the whole approach of that one. I definitely think that's the coolest NPC that I feel like I was working on.
Yes, yeah.
And I know, I'm sorry, I'm keep going back to ES1 for some reason, but like that just pops in my head is there was with all the poise that I did, because, well, I have a bone to pick maybe a little bit then here, because generally speaking, when it comes to Everspace 1, people always like, I've heard a lot that they said like procedurally generated stuff, right? Which kinda, but it's like the world was built in a way, like the idea was you build different types of poise, and these type of poise have a certain amount of randomization to them, which are though handcrafted. They're all handcrafted. There's like this one thing that has like this arm and this arm and this arm, and then you start the engine, or you start the game, and it kind of shuffles and says, okay, we're going to choose option A. If you revisit this one, we're not going to choose A again. And I built one poi where it's literally just the most simplistic thing ever, but it killed a lot of streamers, and that's what I did it for, and it was kind of funny. Essentially, you just have literally, I made like 3 asteroids, and I put like turrets on each one, and a big old pile of loot in the middle, and they would all gather around like honeybees, and I'll be like, yeah, welcome to my trap, my
Yes.
then
Yeah.
they would die. And I would laugh. That's
Is
it.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we know who to blame now, everybody who's played Everspace 1. If you do come across that point of interest, then Malte's the one to blame for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we actually had a bug where that poi, because it was one of the in the category of basically small pois.
Yeah.
And if you're randomizing everything that you have, but you don't
Yeah.
like, you have 3 categories and one of them is like small, but small doesn't have a lot of poise. That one will be reused a lot. So this trap was appearing a little bit more than it should have probably. Maybe the last thing I would say is that it's not a specific great asset in any stretch of the imagination, but just, you know, the story with assets for me personally have a bit more important than generally the asset maybe.
Yeah.
In Everspace 2, there at a certain point you are allowed to teleport around in the map.
Yeah.
And for that you build, what is it called? Damn.
Spatial bypass.
A special bypass. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Test. It's essentially 2 cylinders kind of sci-fied up, and they start to spin, and then they go clonk.
Yeah.
And they form, and I did that in the sense that it's kind of like 2 beers. Cheers.
Cool.
And it's just like,
yeah.
You know, it's kind of fun. So the next time you play that and jump somewhere else, cheers to you.
Cool. Who would have thought a German game developer puts 2 beer steins going to bash them together?
I don't know. No idea how that works.
No stereotype there at all.
Nope.
More
of a whiskey guy, actually.
Yeah, okay. Cool. Cool. Right. So another question from Kizor, actually, and they wanted to know, were there any unexpected big lifts to implement within either game, obviously with you working on both of them?
Yeah, we had 4 rather heavy lifts. They were in the hangars.
Yeah.
Because all the spaceships needed to be lifted up.
Yeah. I knew you were going to say that.
Honestly, wow. Honestly, the answer to that, generally speaking, is, in my opinion, releasing a game is a miracle, and it then being good is impossible. You're never done. You just let it go. And the fact that we have done this independently from then to now is quite great. It's amazing, actually. And so many people did so many things, and it all works, and it just came together, and it's still going. Those are the big lifts.
Yes.
And they're still being pulled, and they will always be pulled until they don't.
Yeah.
Wow. So deep. What?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I mean, it is difficult. I mean, it's a culmination of so many things to, as you've said, to make a game just in itself, and then to make it a good game is another step. And, everybody on the team works with heart and passion to try and achieve that, because we want things to be successful. We want to be the best. But I think the poignant one is it's never done. And I think that's sometimes the difficult thing, is like you could tweak and change and, iterate forever and a day, but you just know at some point you need to stop and go, right, that's done. We're now onto this next thing.
Or you have to decide if you want to cut something out. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard about this, but this is also quite an interesting thing. Like, oh Jesus Christ, I'm going back to Everspace 1. I'm sorry. I don't know why.
I've got an interesting question later on, actually, that you don't know about, which
sure.
will probably reveal that one. But yeah, please continue. Yeah.
But on the topic of like how complicated it is, and actually also what to cut out, it's like I remember in ES1 we had a thing that you could craft a scanning probe.
Yes, yeah.
And you would scan that, and you could see most of the loot on the run.
Yeah.
And then you would start, to pick up the thing.
Yeah.
And we had that quite long in the build, and I think we had it, until a month before early access release, and then we were like, for some reason, the whole flow of gameplay feels very, okay, next map, build the thing, look at the thing, fly to the thing, and it's so then you just cut it out, and all of a sudden the game goes click, and you go, oh whoa, what am I doing? Where am I? What am I supposed? Oh shit, is this some loot, and it would work, and like so. Yeah. Long story short, sometimes it's more important to cut shit out than to just keep piling more on top.
More and more, yeah. Sometimes less is more, as the phrase goes. And
that's what they say.
Yeah, and that's definitely True. That's a real cool insight. I haven't heard that story, and I'm sure many of the community haven't heard it either. So yeah,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that little nugget of information.
Nugget.
Talking about obviously how difficult it is to ship a game and everything. Over your time working in the industry, what is your biggest realization then about how things have maybe changed, or totally just regarding game development and working industry? What has kind of been your light bulb moment with how things are?
Well, I would say first of all the fact that there's lots of games these
Mhm.
days, a lot of games being made,
Yeah.
and the whole idea about being in whatever you want to call it, the top 5%, whether or not it's Steam releases,
Yeah.
that's quite tough. So yeah, that's something to keep in mind. I would say like that's nothing that I would have seen come. Like we had so many years ago, you would even have the conversation about, are PC games done?
Yeah.
And now you look at what's happening, we're about to, there will be, essentially a third console on or like not a third, but like, Steam and Valve will push something out in the market, right? There's always so many things that change. I think that's really, that's kind of a realization that you have to have. And for me personally, I would say, what I didn't see coming, what did change for me is this realization that game dev for me feels a bit more like a relationship with like giving and taking. It's like I get to work on an amazing game with amazing people, and kind of my reward for that is to be allowed to play the games of other people. Kind of that's how I feel the game industry is for me. It's an incredibly high privilege to take part in, and I'm incredibly thankful for it. And yeah,
cool. Yeah.
it's a magical place, man.
Just to, and I always ask this to everyone, and I think you've touched on various elements just in your last answer, but what do you specifically like about working at ROCKFISH Games? What is it that makes the studio cool?
Do you like your job? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's the people.
Yeah.
It's just the people. I mean, everybody has this intrinsic motivation to make the next thing better. And when what's gotta be said is like when COVID happened, we all, as I'm sure many people did, we split up. We are very lucky that from a tech perspective, we literally could be like, I'm taking this PC to my home.
Yeah. Done.
TeamSpeak, no, we'll use Discord. Okay.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Yeah. And then and you have essentially just the project that you love. That's really something that I can say is pretty much the best thing.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, it just kind of resonates that everybody's of a similar kind of response whenever I've asked this question. That they just enjoy working there because of the environment and the people that we work alongside, which is great. Having that wherever you work, it always makes the days go better. So I think we're very, very lucky. Outside of obviously work, and crafting the things that you do, gaming wise, obviously you touched on Windrose till 2 a.m. in the morning, for example.
Yeah.
What games do you enjoy playing? What is your go-to kind of genre and games?
I mean, on the topic of Windrose, is like I feel like as somebody who plays on on Steam, it's like you always have to have at least one game that is in early access, that is a survival crafting kind of thing, with Enshrouded going live soon. You need to have another early access title. Come on. So, which by the way, I also played Enshrouded, and what a crazy release! Like their game had such a high quality of life. I don't think I've ever played an early access launch title where like it felt like, oh wow, they have this as well, and this and this and this. I think after Valheim, I think they set a new standard in terms of this is what a survival crafting game needs to be on like early access launch. Like you have to have all these features, and they need to work, and it needs to be fun and stuff. Anyway, What do I play? I think I have a bit of a simmer background. I did used to, because I'm a huge aviation fanatic. I'm a huge Airbus fan, Hamburg.
Okay.
I used to play lots of flight sim stuff.
Yeah.
FS 9.1, which was Flight Simulator 2004. I would
Yeah.
buy payware
Yeah.
aircrafts for literally, I don't know, 120 euros or something, like a
Okay.
huge amount,
Yeah.
because they would then replicate like most of the stuff that you can actually do in these type of aircrafts.
Yeah.
And the latest flight sim also, on the latest 2 actually, which is crazy with the tech that they have, insane. So yeah, I have a bit of a kind of a simulator background, and therefore I also am a huge fan of everything that people do, like Bohemia. Like I love Arma. I've always loved, like the whole modding community of Arma. This whole thing is just amazing. Shooters, Gray Zone, fantastic. Makes it's a lot of fun. It's like a extraction light PvE with friends kind of thing. Fantastic. Stalker, Doom, Ready or Not. Amazing. I was such a huge SWAT 4 fan, or SWAT in general. Also kind of part of the growing up making games, Counter-Strike and Far Cry kind of zone. Rocket League. I think I have 3K hours. It's kind of my comfort. go in there with a friend of mine and then start shedding away, and then you're like, we just lost 4-0 because we are talking about politics.
Yes.
How about
rather than concentrating on the game?
Deep Rock Galactic.
Yep.
I don't know what else.
Rock and Stone.
Yeah, was great.
Yeah, I love
Rock
it.
and Stone. Yeah. I've played a lot of the Rings Return of the King recently.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever played this amazing kind of slash progression game where you can play with everybody, with Aragon and everybody. It's what a great game. That's something that I would love to see in the current engine. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Updates to things.
Titan Quest 2, Enshrouded, Helldivers 2. Star Citizen I played a bit as well. Sorry, this.
You got a lot of similarities there to the games that I've played. I've played extraction shooters, like Ark Raiders, etc. Things like that. And I know we've behind the scenes we've talked about other games that are inbound. So War Dogs is a game that I'm looking forward to from a team here in the UK, which I'm very much hoping to see in the near future in early access. So all these different games, obviously different art styles, different influences. Is there anything that's really kind of influenced your design? I know we talked about you kind of replicate things, but you get influences, don't you? You see something, think, God, that looks cool. Is there anything that's really stood out for you that's influenced you over the years?
I do think, I know it's a bit of a stereotypical answer, but I do think typical sci-fi from Star Wars is amazing. I'm obviously a huge fan of Mandalorian. I think that's the best Star Wars that has ever been created, movie-wise. There's, generally speaking, if you do sci-fi space games, I would say that there is a certain line that people kind of expect. You can go there are some crazy stations in other games that I think are very cool. You can kind of switch which way you want to go in terms of fantasy, I would say, is kind of the approach. But at the end of the day, it's the typical stuff. It's Elite Dangerous stuff. It's your Star Citizen. But also what has to be said is just the origin of the studio. I mean, where the core people come from and what they have been doing. That is kind of an official lore as well. I mean, Galaxy on Fire is, is in a way still very, in the back of people's minds who literally created that game. So
there's certainly going to be an influence from that, because you can pick things up from Star Wars, as you've said, and Star Citizen and all of the places, but if you create something so kind of amazing, I mean, we know the numbers were fantastic for the Galaxy on Fire and everything, that it's kind of ingrained into the studio as such, and a definite nod to that. If you could pick a game, and this is very difficult because I'm sure over your X number of gaming years, if you could pick one game that you've worked on, or you could have worked on rather, what would it be? Could you pick one?
If I kind of put aside the whole idea about I want to work on it because of the success or maybe the art style or whatever,
Yeah.
I think going back to the roots of how I started and how thankful I am for a game like Far Cry 1
Yes.
and maybe your Counter-Strike Condition Zeros or before that or 1.6 or whatever. I would probably go for Far Cry 1 because it was kind of my first game where I did dev stuff with, you know.
Cool. Yeah.
And this, I think I've heard, I don't know where I have this from, but I've heard the story of um, how they because they did it all themselves, right? The engine and all of these things, and I think they showed it for the first time in GDC, and then they had like a small booth,
Yeah.
and then people would just go back, and then I've heard this one story that then the Ubisoft exec would like walk past, and then some of these devs or maybe the CEO, I don't necessarily know the fact, would grab him and be like, look at this, and this is kind of how they got their name into the industry or whatever.
Wow.
I've heard that this is like hearsay kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
But if I listen to all of that stuff, this kind of origin story of that studio and just the game, which I absolutely love, still my favorite Far Cry game actually. Yeah. That's I think that's what I would take from the history perspective.
Far Cry 1, yeah. I mean, some people that are watching have probably never seen Far Cry, the original, but definitely worth checking out.
Check it out, yeah.
Yeah, as Malte says, there's a lot of history definitely for him there, and obviously other titles, but he had to pick one. He could only pick one, and that was Far Cry 1. Now, we're going to shift over to a segment that I've introduced in some of the last few dev interviews that I've recorded, and they're always a fun element. And that is 10 questions, quick fire questions with this or that. So, which is kind of an option of option A or option B, and you've got to choose one of them, whatever they are. Now, Malte doesn't know about these yet. He hasn't seen these or anything. So, we're going to dive in. 10 rapid fire questions for you, Malte. So you've got to be quick on your answers. I'll try to be.
Right.
I did this with Michael, and some of them were really tough. It took him about 30 seconds to answer, but but we'll go with it. So. Right, question number 1 for you is romantic comedy films or horror films?
Horror. What?
Question 2, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs, cool. Question
I had
3.
cats, therefore I just can't anymore. I just, no. I mean, cats are great.
Yeah.
But a dog is, you know the saying, like, if you're lying here because something happened,
yeah,
the dog will pass next to you and the cat will start eating you.
Yeah.
I've triggered.
Yeah.
They're all great. They're all great.
They're all great. They're all great. So question 3, Lady Gaga or Post Malone?
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga, cool. I think I know the answer to this next question. Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. As soon as I saw your picture of Aragorn, I thought that's a null and void question. So question 5 is reading a book or listening to an audiobook?
Listening to an audiobook. I have listened to pretty much all of Stephen King because I can just do it while I work. Like, that's the best thing about doing 3D stuff. It's something where you can just, if you have a task and you can zone in,
yes,
you're in the flow state, you can also listen to something to 80%, so you can hear it. And so definitely audiobooks, even though reading is amazing for sleeping, I have a billion more audiobooks than books.
Than books. Cool. Question 6, mouse and keyboard or controller?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, as a PC gamer, I would say
exactly.
I love both. Like, you play Grand Theft Auto, and then you can sometimes maybe switch. Whatever.
Totally get that.
Keyboard and mouse.
Now, this one's going to be a tough one for you. Grey Zone or Armor Reforger?
Oh, wow. That's really tough. Because both have the origin story of, I'm thankful for SWAT 4 kind of reappearing in the industry, like tech shooters. Tactical shooters are a thing now. I'm like, how did this happen? This is amazing. And then obviously Bohemia with their absolute origin story of amazing Reforger, it's the first time you can play armor and your CPU is not bottleneck. It's like, I cannot wait for Armor 4 to be happening. Shit, 30 seconds.
Yeah. I knew this was going to be a tough one. I knew it. I knew it.
I'm gonna go with the OG. I'm gonna go with Bohemia because
Okay.
of for what they have done for.
Okay, so Armor Reforger we'll go with for that one. Okay. Oh, you can stop sweating now, Malte. Yeah.
How is that more difficult than like a love story or horror?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So question 8: Star Wars or Star Trek? I think I know the answer.
You do? Okay.
I think so. I think so. I told you I wouldn't give you the easiest.
Oh man. Since I have gone with the whole idea of my history and what it meant for me, Star Trek had a huge influence. So even though I love that guy,
okay,
I think I'm gonna gonna be a Trekkie, I guess.
Gonna be a Trekkie. Yeah. Okay, I thought you were gonna be a Star Wars fan. As soon as I saw the Mandalorian,
that's why I chose the other one.
Yeah, just to mess with me. That's fine. Yeah. So question 9. Okay, Doom guy struck Doom Marine from Doom or Duke Nukem?
Doom guy.
Okay, Doom guy.
Yeah.
And then I always finish with this one: EverSpace 1 or EverSpace 2?
1.
I thought that. Yeah.
History.
Yeah, the history there. Yeah, that. No, I'm sorry there were some tough ones in there, Malte. I bet you thought I'm just going to breeze through this interview, and then the last, like few minutes have been like, phew, blimey, what a question! What a question! What a question!
So what if I tell you that I also have questions for you?
Yeah. We'll save that for another interview. I'm sure at some point we'll actually be switching this around and somebody will be interviewing me, which will be a fun one. We'll save that for the future.
Actually.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there we go, folks. Thank you very much, Malte, for spending some time with us and talking about your role and everything else and being so entertaining and sweating there for the last 5 minutes. It's been good. And no, I hope you boys and girls that have watched it have enjoyed a behind-the-scenes chat with Malte about all the things 3D and lead of assets, which is his role here at ROCKFISH Games. But now I'm going to hand back to myself to carry on with the rest of the stream. So take care, folks. See you soon.
See ya, Chad.